Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday number 24, and today we are talking about using science for personal transformation. The questioner says, "It's hard for me to believe in God for many reasons. I have decided to trust in the scientific approach to understanding my life." I'd like to hear what you have to say about the path to spiritual growth, but science makes more sense to me. How can you prove what you say is correct? Yeah, I bet a lot of you are probably thinking that. Okay, I'll answer this. It's really hard to prove the invisible reality using our physical five senses. That reality is not picked up by our five senses. So we need an instrument that is more sensitive, that has a power in it that can pick up more than just what our physical reality is. What we're going for is that which is not received by our five senses. So, and we know that the five senses that we use as tools for investigation are limited and they're faulty. Like our eyes only have the capacity to see what is on the same vibrational level of the eyes. So I can only see physical things. I can only touch physical things and know that they exist through these instruments. And so they're limited. But we need to use something that is not limited in its capacity if we want to know that which is beyond our five senses. So the same thing is when we think about the ears. So we have the eyes, the hands, even our mind. When we talk about the ears, our physical ears are limited. We can't hear sounds that are above or below that are human range. Like for instance, there's a high-pitched whistle sound. Our ears cannot hear it, but let's say dogs can hear it. So it's not good enough for us as spiritual beings who are wanting to know our greater, larger reality to just use physical senses. Science is, at least what I say, the external science, is using our five senses. It's not good enough for us as individuals wanting to know the vast world behind us or above us or around us. So we have to, we are now left with what we call testimony. We as spiritual searchers or researchers have to depend on something that is beyond our physical senses. And so we have to trust someone who has walked the path before us and that has researched and done the practice, and they are telling us, this is the best practice to do. I've done blah, 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 blah. Don't do that one because that didn't work for me. So I'm going to save you time and energy and try this one. So it's a short path. So we need to, because our senses are limited, we're going to look around and say, well, what can I use? If I can't use my five senses, what is the vehicle that will help me transform my consciousness? So that vehicle, these wise people who have walked the path before us are going to say, that tool is awareness. And they're saying, they're telling us, this is through testimony, we're going to trust them. And I'm going to give you a little definition here. There is something called blind trust, and there's something called intelligent trust. Automatically, you probably know what the difference is. Blind trust is coming from a person who is very, very disconnected from their self, their own sense of truth. They're coming from a place of fear or maybe a lot of trauma, and they're just beaten down a lot. And they're desperate. They really want help. They're desperate. So they're just people who need to, if they're on the right path, they need a lot more practice to be confirmed for themselves what the truth is. Intelligent trust is someone who's a little bit more self-assured. They have a connection with themselves, and when they hear someone speak about the truth or that invisible reality, they're going, I know there's some truth in that, but I don't have evidence for it yet. But I want to walk the path so that I can be convinced of it in myself through my own personal exploration and scientific study. So all this to say is that the path of meditation, using awareness as your tool for exploration, is the most effective tool there is. So these people who've walked the path before us, we call them the sages, the saints, the gurus, the teachers. They say, do this. And one of the things that they say is meditation. And there's lots of types of meditation, but basically the essence of meditation is the practice of awareness. So we are developing our awareness muscle, and we're doing an inner exploration. So first of all, we're disillusioned. So step one is we're disillusioned with our physical senses. So then we're wondering, what are we going to use? So they're suggesting use your awareness. That's a powerful tool. And the reason why awareness is a powerful tool is that, say for instance, I'll give an example. Say you're looking at a candle with your eyes, and that's the object of your contemplation. The candle has within it the physicality, but it also has the subtler aspect of it. So you're looking at the candle, and your eyes see the candlestick, and it also sees the flame. But awareness, when you continually look and study for a period of time, and you keep looking at that one object over and over and over and over again, you are studying it so thoroughly, your awareness has the capacity to pick up the subtlety of the flame. You keep looking at the flame, and you'll start to see light. But not only will you see light with your physical eyes, you'll see light with what they call the third eye, this ability to know that light is something so subtle that it brings light to all objects. So you're going to see how it's not just here in this candle flame, but it's actually spread out through the whole room. And then you realize, and you can almost feel, the deeper you go in the practice, you can feel how light transforms our consciousness. But you wouldn't be able to see that or know that through just looking with your physical eyes. There's something about awareness that can take you to deeper and deeper, subtler and subtler, and more refined states of consciousness that your physical senses are not developed to be able to do. So the meditator or the spiritual practitioner is a scientist. They study not just external objects, they study their own mind. And so there's a process called Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan, the Sanskrit for Shravan meaning listening, listening to the words of the wise, reading books who have been written by popular speakers, people who have practiced, and imbibing it, listening to it, having an open mind, and manan is where the mind, where all that information, that new information comes into your mind, and you're kind of swishing it around and comparing it to your old beliefs. Like you had a certain belief that was carried you right up to now, and then you hear this new piece of information and you compare it and say, well, that old belief is no good anymore. So you're testing it, you're studying it, you're ruminating on it, you're making conclusions about this new information. So the mind is cleaning out, and even maybe new information comes in and your old one seems a little more stabler than the new information. And so you're doing this discerning process called manan. And while you're doing all of this, you're hearing, you're ruminating, you're clearing it out, making decisions. And the last part is this power called nididhyasan, which is, it's the transformation that happens as a result of this rumination. So this is science. The science is now applied to our own mind. Now, I'm just thinking that perhaps you got disillusioned with the word God, and maybe somebody in your religious circle offended you or hurt you, and then you made a conclusion about religion in a certain way. And I can understand that if you're hurt, then you say, okay, well, I'm not going to go that way. So you, in a sense, may have thrown the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. So what I'm saying here is that you cannot depend on external words for your truth. Even science, like, there's lots of science out there, and they write an article and they say this is true because they did the scientific research. But did you do the scientific research? Did you find out for yourself what it is? That's the difference with self-exploration as opposed to external objects and then finding out facts on the external level using scientific approaches. The difference here is that you get to transform within your own internal being. And so that's the truth. Like, if you do the work, then nobody can deny the work you've done for yourself. You do the study, you own it. You go through the scientific process of shravan, listening to it, manan, making decisions and going back and forth, clearing out this and adding that and doing your experiments. And then you get the fruit of, I know who I am. I know and see through my own direct experience what that invisible reality is. Thank you. This was Wisdom Wednesday 24, and I'll see you next week. Bye.